Welcome. A very good morning to all of you. I welcome you all to the fifth day. That is the last day of a national level 5 days online faculty development program on academic writing. On behalf of the St. Joseph Engineering College, Mangaluru, Karnataka, and behalf of the organizing committee, I welcome you all to the first session of the last day of the faculty development program. Dear ladies and gentlemen, today for morning session, we have an eminent speaker with us who will deliver the session on understanding publication metrics and ethics. Dr. Shivaram BS, ICAS CSIR NAL, Bangalore. To briefly introduce Dr. Shivaram BS, presently serving as the Joint Head, Information Center for Aerospace Science and Technology, CSIR NAL, Bangalore. He is also leading the digital archiving group and has led several digital archiving initiatives at CSIR NAL, to name a few: NAL Open Access Institutional Repositories to archive publications of NAL, then Prakash to archive classified technical literature with the access control system engineering archive at NAL, etc. Prior to joining CSIR NAL, Dr. Shivaram BS has served DRDO MTRDC, a premier R&D laboratory under the Ministry of Food Defense Government of India for nearly 7 years. He was tasked with the development of the Digital Technical Information Center. He also worked at NCSI, Indian Institute of Science, as a project assistant for 2 years, and he was part of the team that established India's first open access institutional repository, ePrints, at IISc. Presently, he is serving as a governing council and steering committee member of VTU e-Resource Consortium, and he was an expert member of JN2UA, Anantapuram e-Resource Consortium, and the Coimbatore University Library Automation Committee. He served as a resource person for various national and international workshops on digital repositories, content management system, digital libraries, reference management tools, etc. He delivered more than 100 invited and tutorial talks on various occasions. He has got a number of research papers in his credits, which are published in various conferences and SCI journals. He is the recipient of Best Librarian 2018 by the Department of Public Libraries, Government of Karnataka, for his outstanding contribution towards digital library initiatives. He received LIS Academic Fellowship Award 2019 in the hands of His Excellency, Governor of Karnataka, at VTU Belgavi in June 2019. Shivaram BS is UGC NET qualified and holds a PhD from Coimbatore University, Karnataka. He has done a dual master's degree and successfully completed the Information and Knowledge Management course from NCSL, Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. He has successfully completed 100 hours of MOOCs courses on intellectual property rights from the World Intellectual Property Organization, and he is offering 2 mandatory credit courses on research and publication ethics for ACSIR PhD students at CSIR NAL. With this brief introduction, I extend a heartfelt welcome to Dr. B.S. Shivaram this morning on behalf of St. Joseph Engineering College, Organizing Committee, on behalf of all the participants. Sir, warm welcome to you, and over to you. We are eager to hear from you, sir.
So thank you very much, Professor Sudhir, for your kind introduction. It was a privilege for me to associate with this FDP program. So I will share my screen and kindly confirm, can you able to see my presentation, and if my audio is clear?
Yes, sir. We are able to see your presentation, and also your audio is very clear, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So shall I go ahead?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, at the outset, I would like to thank SJEC authorities for giving me this wonderful opportunity to share my little learnings with you all. And hope you all had a very great and a wonderful, insightful FDP from last 4 days. And we have reached to the final day. So I try to make my presentation more interesting and more relevant to your needs actually. And what I understand from the organizers are all participants are from academic setup. Is that right, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So friends, my topic will be understanding publication metrics and ethics. And this is my presentation plan. We will try to understand why this publication metrics has become a very important criteria for, especially for academic setups in terms of measuring a research impact or academic performance. And we'll also try to look at various data points as far as scholarly publications are concerned, especially in the context of Nrf ranking. So I have pulled out some publication data of various engineering colleges, which has been ranked by Nrf. And also we'll try to understand from where these publication metrics are coming. So where these agencies or accreditation bodies or decision makers are looking at the publication metrics, what are the sources they look. And we'll try to understand various publication metrics in terms of journal metrics or in terms of article level metrics or with respect to authors or institution level metrics. And finally, we will try to look at various publication ethics which are expected from authors or researchers while publishing their research findings through various scholarly communication media. Okay. And at first, why these publication metrics are important? If you look at the institution perspective, yes, they need these publication metrics for various reasons. For example, many academic institutions, they go for accreditations like NAC, NBA, especially engineering institutions, if they are a medical, NABH, and so on. So when this accreditation process takes place, the publication metrics plays an important role. They have a significant weightage for this. So as far as academic institutions are concerned, publication metrics are an important component for them. And we are seeing nowadays that various ranking frameworks have come out and they are ranking various institutions, both at international level and national level. To name few, we have a Times Higher Education ranking, we have a academic ranking of world universities, QS ranking, and at the national level, we have a Nrf ranking. And I'm sure many engineering colleges across country, they are participating in this and they are very eager to get some place in Nrf ranking framework. Okay, and also many academic institutions, they are also looking for various research funding. Okay. When a research funding wants to award a grant or a fund for a particular institution, they also look at various publication metrics from that institution and what kind of expertise they have got in that particular area before awarding the research grant. If you look at the individual perspective or a researcher perspective, of course, these publication metrics are very important for your career, to build a career in your scientific field, especially if you are very young. And also now many institutions, I understand that they have linked your promotion or in annual increments to the publications which you publish in SCI journals or SCI sources. And also it helps individuals to recognize themselves as a domain experts in their area, subject area. So many journals or many institutions look at your publications and publication metrics before inviting you to serve on their committees or editorial boards or whatever it is. So for a scientific or science and technology, it may be any subject area. For a researcher, publication metrics are an important component. And also this will also help us to have some status in the society kind of a thing. You will be considered as an expert or a domain expert, and you will have your own impact. So your impact is measured, often measured through your publication metrics. For example, the awards for scientists. For example, Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Award, which is an highest award for Indian scientists or academicians, they look at various publication metrics before selecting for that award. So, so for all these reasons, the publication metrics are becoming important. So we'll try to understand from this session. So what are the different type of publication metrics which indicates our quality work, our quality research, okay? And what are the agencies which are looking for it? So I have taken a ranking context. For example, now almost all institutions, they are very eager to get some rank in any of these ranking frameworks, which are widely accepted on international and national level. If you look at the Times Higher Education ranking, they consider around 2,000 institutions across the world, and they rank around 1,500 institutions. And from India, from 2021, there were 63 institutions has been listed. Though we have more than 1,000 universities and number of technical colleges and degree awarding colleges, so only 63 Indian academic institutions were made in Times Higher Education ranking in 2021. If you look at other widely accepted ranking framework, that is QS ranking, where more than 5,000 institutions participates, and they rank only 1,000 institutions, where 29 of Indian institutions have been listed. Most probably they are all institutes of eminence like IITs or IASC or ICER, something like that. And we have another ranking framework called ARW. It's academic ranking of world universities. They rank somewhere around, they consider somewhere around 2,000 institutions and rank 1,014 institutes are there. And of course, we have a Cymograph, which is ranking it purely based on the publication metrics. They consider only Scopus data and the rank institutions based on that publication performance. And also at national level, we have Nrf, and where a lot of Indian institutions are participating. I think more than 4,000 institutes were participated in 2021. And they rank around 200 institutes, and they have various categories like engineering, management, general, where they consider all institutes and they rank this. So what is the role of publication metrics in this context? If you look at their criteria, of course, each ranking frameworks, they have their own criteria to rank an institutions. For example, Times Higher Education Education World Ranking, which has a 5 criteria, among which teaching, learning, research, and the publication part. Out of 100 marks weightage, they give 30% for publication metrics, your number of publications in SCI databases and the citations what it gets. So all those criteria will carry a 30%. This 30% is a very significant factor to get a rank. Okay, and if you look at the other ranking framework, other popular ranking framework, QS ranking, they have again they have around 6 criteria, 5 or 6 criteria for 100 marks. Okay, if you look at citations per faculty from Scopus, okay, it carries a 20 marks of weightage to consider for a ranking. So again, it's like publications and publications metrics play an important role here to for a ranking. And we have a ARW, that's academic ranking of all universities, popularly known as Shanghai ranking. They have a again they have a 5-6 criteria. If you look at that, again 40% of weightage goes for your publications, and the 20% goes for the articles published in Nature and Science. Madam, lecture Nature and Science journals, and the remaining 20% goes to the publications which are indexed at Science Citation Index Expanded. Basically, it's called as Web of Science. Okay, so again, 40% is a very significant parameter, right? So if you look at Cymograph University ranking, again 100% ranking is based on your publication metrics, based on the Scopus data. So coming to our Nrf, again Nrf, we have a 500 points weightage. In that, they have a RP, research publications kind of thing. They have 100 marks. In that, again, we have a subcategory. Number of publications is around 35 marks, and quality publication in terms of the citation analysis. So they have around 40 marks weightage. And of course, for patents 15 and funded projects, it's around 10. So significantly 75 marks is allocated for your publications and related metrics or performance. Okay. So now if you look at the accreditation process, we have a NAC, NBA, NBAH. If you look at their criteria, if you look at the research and innovation and extension criteria, in that research publications and awards, which carries 100 marks for universities, and autonomous colleges like SJAC, they give a 30% weightage. So basically, they consider only SCI indexed research papers and related metrics for those articles. And also, if you look at the various funding agencies criteria, for example, if you want to apply for a research grant to DST, okay, Department of Science and Technology, where you have to give a project proposal, and they insist the project investigators publications and the patents and the books what he has published in last 10 years or so. So to judge whether he is really capable of executing the project what he has applied, based on these criteria. This may not be the only criteria. This will be the one of the criteria where they look at project proposals before awarding the project. So now, by now, it's very well established that the publication metrics are very important criteria for various reasons, especially for academic researchers or researchers in R&D centers like us. Okay, so let us look at the data with a more critical way, like by going into Nrf Ranking Framework, where, as I told you in earlier slide, that RP will have 100 marks out of 500 weightage. So in that, we are interested to know only number of publications and quality of publications criteria. Now, I have made a case study by taking around engineering institutions which have come below 100 ranking from Karnataka, and also some of the engineering colleges which have been which have got a rank between somewhere between 40 to 50 range. And I try to look at the various SCI publications from these two leading databases, that is Scopus and Web of Science, which NRF considers. And I wanted to look at the publication behavior of that, so that I will, if we share with you, you will get a better understanding about the importance of these publication metrics. Okay. So I have, these are the institutes from Karnataka which have got ranks below 100 in the engineering criteria, engineering category. And this is the rank from last 3 years rank I have taken. And this is an RP score. If you look at the rank, again, ranks of engineering institutions are going slightly below, because that may be because many institutions are participating, many institutions are increasing their performance in all categories which NRF refined, but more or less for with some institutions, they are almost in the same range, plus or minus 2-3 positions here and there. And in some cases, it is really improved. In some cases, it has dropped. Okay. If you look at MSRIT, they were 64 in 2019. In 2020, 59. Again, they gone back to 65. Whereas in MIT, Manipal Institute of Technology, which is one of the reputed institutes, they have also dropped by little ranking. If you look at the RP score, really here there is a lot of scope for improvement for each institution. For example, if you look at the MS Amaya Engineering College, which is an autonomous college under VTU, so in 2019, their RP score was 8.61 for 100 marks. Maybe the management would have taken several initiatives or steps to increase, where they have a lot of scope to improve their publications, which again in turn contributes to the ranking. So they have almost doubled in 2 years. Okay, from 8.61 to 16.84. And the same is true with all other colleges which have ranked below 100. They are continuously trying to improve their research publications, quality research publications, I would say. Okay. And this is the ranking of institutions, engineering colleges especially, which ranked somewhere between 40 to 50 range. Okay. If you look at their rank also, some institutions have increased their ranking, and some have again dropped a little. what is interesting is if you look at the research performance, research publication performance, everybody's trying to increase year by year. Okay, they are giving more attention towards coming out with a good research work. Again, that research work, they are motivating to publish in a very good publication sources, maybe journal or conferences and so on. Okay, which are indexed at SCI databases. So it is true with all other institutions. They are continuously trying to increase their RP scores. So this is about Nrf ranking data. Now I really went into these two SCI databases and try to understand their publication behavior. What kind of research articles they are publishing, whether really they are concentrating on journal papers or conference paper. If they are concentrating on these type of publications, what is the citation potentiality of this journal paper or conference paper, again, which contributes to their ranking position. So I thought of exploring for 3-year publication. Why? Because NIRF considers only 3 years window. Okay, they consider previous 2 years publication plus the citations in that particular. So totally these metrics are considered a 3-year window. So I have taken 3-year publications for all these institutions. If you look at the publication growth for all institutions, it's an increasing trend. This 2001 is less because this data I have taken somewhere in September of 2021. So that's why it's showing less. But if you look, if you see now, definitely it has gone beyond the previous year's publications count. So everybody is increasing. See, which you also almost they are increasing almost double, and Ramaya is increasing year by year. But unfortunately, from RV College of Engineering, their publications are dropping. So these publications are indexed at Scopus database. Okay, and if you look at the other leading citation database, Web of Science, the indexed article, because Web of Science is a more qualitative citation database, they are very stringent in including their publications in their database, and only quality publications are indexed there. So if you look at their growth, again, it's in a downside trending for some institutions. For some, again, they are doing exceptionally good in Web of Science database also. Okay, this is again highly ranked, that ranked institutes which are around 40 to 50 range. Their publications are also increasing. So I wanted to see the citation behavior. So again, it's another parameter where 40 marks weightage is given for a quality aspect. If you look at the citations received for the papers which are published in this 2018 to 2020, and average citations per paper is really good for these two institutions. However, for RV and BMS, there it's around 1.52. In case of RV, they are concentrating more on publishing conference paper, which is evident from the next slide what I have put. And those who have published the journal papers, they have a higher average citations. The chances of getting citations are more. Okay, so it's always better to focus on journal papers than the conference papers. So if you look at the colleges which are between 40 to 50 range, again, their average citation is quite good. Like previous our engineering colleges from Karnataka. Kalinga Institute of Technology from Orissa, they are doing exceptionally good. That's how they're able to improve their rank also by year. They are producing more number of papers and more number of quality papers which are getting citations for those papers. Okay, and this is the total number of papers published by engineering colleges, both in Web of Science database. Of course, as I told you, Web of Science indexes, Web of Science will give always a lesser number because of the quality. Only quality journals are indexed here. And since the number of publications are less and number of citations are more here, average citations per paper will be definitely more. Okay. So whereas Scopus will index a lot of other type of contents, and the coverage is very good. When we go to that particular slides, I will explain in detail what is the real difference between Scopus and Web of Science, why these numbers are very different from database to database. As far as present citation, average citation per paper at Web of Science is concerned, it's really good for these journals, and they're trying to improve year by year. If you look at the open source articles, so open source is a new concept where whatever research papers you publish as an author, for readers it will be free to read. So they need not subscribe, they need not pay and use. Okay, so obviously the chances of getting citations will be more. If you look at the publications published by these institutions, and the citations per closed access articles is 3.45 in MS Ramaya, whereas for open access articles published by MS Ramaya, it is 4.7. So what I mean to say is, if you publish articles in an open access domain, if you make your articles available in open access domain, chances of getting citations will be more, which is true with all other institutions also. Okay, so always it's better to publish in open access. The quality open access, again, you should be very careful about the predatory publishing, where many authors are been trapped and they have been taken APC charges from authors and they publish in a dubious journal. No, I am talking about only quality journals which supports open access, and those articles are indexed in this SCI databases. Okay, so other parameter I looked at is a journal and a conference papers. Always journal papers yielded more citations than the conference papers. Almost 3 to 4 times more citations has been journal articles have got, and it is true with all other institutions. So publishing a conference paper is okay. Like initial stage of your research findings, you can come out with a conference paper, which obviously it will be a short communication and published in various conference series, and it will be indexed in journal. It will help you to increase your count, and which will contribute to the 35 marks of publications in Nrf ranking. Whereas if you want to address a quality issue in terms of getting citations, it's always better to publish in a journal paper, which is quite evident from the data what I have pulled out from these publications of these colleges. Okay, and it's quite obvious that if you publish many papers from your institution, all may not get citations. It's true with any institution for that matter. If you look at the engineering institutions from Karnataka itself, only around 40 to 50% papers will not fetch any citations. That is true with all institutions. And some papers may fetch you the low citations, very few, 1 or 2 or 1 to 5. Okay, there are few papers which will fetch you lot of citations. They contribute to your citation parameter, citation growth. Okay, so that indicates the quality component of that articles. And same is true with institutions which are ranked between 40 to 50. Okay, there may be a slight variation in percentage, like zero citations papers may be 30 to 40. In some cases, it may be 40 to 50. Okay, and highly cited papers percentage also may be little more. But it's like a common phenomena that all papers will not get citation, and all paper will not get a higher citation also. So again, deeper understandings in this direction, like subject-wise contribution. For example, there is a large potentiality of getting more papers and more citation in life science area than the technology area. And in technology institutions also, there will be more scope for material science and chemical sciences, where they get a lot of papers, and also chances of getting a lot of citations are there compared to the technical subjects like mechanical or EC, electronics, something like that. Okay, and also journal wise, the quartile wise, what is the citation productivity of a journal? And while selecting a journal for your publication, you can always look at these parameters, whether really this journal has a global visibility, better discoverability, which will enhance my citations. So all those things can be understood in a better way. And also the immediacy index is a parameter which shows the currency of the subject, currency of the research domain what you have selected. And by excluding self-citation, whether really outsiders are really citing your work, they're really using your work can be known. And also the collaborative work, if you are collaborating with some other institutions, what is the probability of getting more publication metrics and so on. And also the number of papers published in the top 2 journals. This is again one of the criteria for NRF, where they look at and they allocate certain marks from your out of the 30 marks which are there for the publication, number of publications. And you can always look at those journals and try to publish in those journals. So these are the various parameters. Again, doing a deep dive, will give you better insights. So I also try to pull out some data about St. Joseph's Engineering College and from the Scopus database. So from 2007 to 20 the present year, they're also significantly increasing from year by year. The blue one represents Scopus data, and the red one represents the Web of Science data. And from the year 2019 onwards, there is a significant growth. There are above 50 papers per year indexed at Scopus. And of course, Web of Science in 2019, there was a more, again, it decreased. This is the publication growth from SJEC. And if you look at the citation for these papers, it's increasing year by year. For example, in the year 2021, all papers published before 2021 by SJEC, they have got 500 plus citations. I mean to say, year by year, your papers are more cited, more used by several people to carry their work, right? And I think you should focus more towards quality component in publishing, and which will really fetch more citations. Okay, when you look at document type, you have published around 166 journal papers, which you have got 1,400 citations. If you look at a conference paper, you have published somewhere around 174, and it has yielded only 577 citations. So definitely journal papers will yield you more citations, which again in turn contributes to your various accreditation and rankings positions. Okay. And also I looked at number of papers from SJEC available in open access domain. There are 22 journal papers which are there in open access, which are free for readers to use. And there are 12 papers in a repository setup, which are indexed in Scopus. These are all papers indexed in Scopus. And there are 28 papers which publishers are made as an open access. That is called a bronze OA. And there are 2 papers which has been made open access by paying a author pay charges, APC charges, in a commercial pub, in a commercial or subscribed journals. So since the data was very small, so I was able to do this much interpretations or analysis about SJEC publication. So now let's understand. In my previous slides, I showed various citation, various data points and all. From where these data points are coming up, and which are the platforms or databases which these agencies will consider, right? There are various platforms where we can get statistics, like we have a Google Scholar, which gives very good statistics, and we have so many other platforms. But the decision maker, the accreditation agencies or the ranking agencies will look at only Web of Science and Scopus citation databases to calculate all those ranks or accreditations. So let's try to understand what are these databases and who publishes this and what are the different metrics they offer us. Okay. So as far as citation databases data is concerned, citation data is captured by Web of Knowledge. It's called Web of Science for science stream, published by Clarivate Analytics. And we have one more popular database called Scopus. Again, it has been published by Elsevier. And we have a free database, Google Scholar, which also keeps track of various publication metrics, and it offers free service for us. Okay. Now, what is Web of Science? It's one of the oldest citation database which covers more than 100 years of high quality publications data. Okay. And it's a publisher neutral, so it won't do any bias for any particular publisher. And all the sources which are indexed at Web of Science are evaluated by a third-party experts. Okay, and they have a 28 parameters to evaluate a particular source or a particular journal to include in the database. For example, if AIA journal has to be included in Web of Science database, AIA journal has to qualify all these 28 parameters which has been defined by Web of Science. Then only they will include. So these are the number of journals which are there in the Web of Knowledge or Web of Science. Web of Knowledge is across all disciplines like science, social science, arts and humanities, book citations, etc. Whereas Web of Science is concentrates only on science part, science and technology part, which is called as the Science Citation Index Expanded, which consists of 9,200 journals as on date, which has been evaluated by these experts with the 28 parameters. When you look at the Social Science Citation Index, which has got 3,400 journals published across international, across world, and Arts and Humanities Citation Index, which indexes journals related to this particular area, and they have a separate book citation index and conference proceeding citation index and so on, which indexes so many papers from various conferences. So total number of cited references are 1.18 billion references are there from these 100+ years, from 53 million records, which are indexed at Web of Science. And you would have heard about Journal Impact Factor report, which comes every year. And the Journal Impact Factor report is based on Web of Science data. Okay, this is the backend data of our Journal Impact Factor. We will understand what is Journal Impact Factor when we go for publication metrics related to journal. This is the subject coverage of a Web of Science database. Engineering and they have their own subject category. Of course, there may be various subjects which I have marked in red belongs to the engineering area. There are areas belongs to life science. Said and then, if you look at the number of journals present in number of subject area present in Web of Science, they are slightly inclined towards life science and chemical sciences. Their number is more compared to engineering sciences. That is why when you look at the engineering institution papers, always it will be less than the Scopus, because Scopus covers more on engineering side also. Okay, so that's why when I showed my previous slides, always the Web of Science count was low because the quality component and the subject coverage component also. So next is the Scopus. Again, Scopus is a relatively a new citation platform published by Elsevier, and they started somewhere in 2004, and they're trying to go backward for indexing all articles published before 2004 also. And also the citation database covers only peer-reviewed literature. Okay, again, it is evaluated by a third party, and they have around 22 parameters to index at Scopus database. And also they track, analyze, and visualize various research publications and content sources. There are 39,000 serial titles, journal titles has been part of Scopus, out of which 25,000 titles are active. When I say there may be some journals which has been seized, which has been stopped, but the content published during that part of time will have some citation data. So they have indexed all those type of content also. Out of 39,000 currently active journals are 25,000 across all subjects, not necessarily engineering, all social science, humanities, everything. Okay. And they have 22,10,000 book titles has been indexed, and so many publishers content is part of Scopus. And they have also integrated RCIT. It's again a researcher's ID, open researchers and contributor ID, to overcome the author ambiguities. Okay, it's been used. And of course, as far as a literature search point of view, Scopus is a wonderful platform to carry out a literature search before you venture into your research. Okay, to identify your research problem and what are the previous literature has been published in your area of interest. Okay, of course, you need to pay and use this. I think for our institute, Scopus is around 20 lakhs per year. For academic institutes, definitely the pricing will be very low, comparatively low. Of course, you have to pay and use. And they have one more platform, one more layer on this Scopus data called Cyval, which helps us to carry out the analytics. Like I want to compare college A with college B, I can readily select those and compare in various parameters which I show. So that is again a value-added service. Again, you have to pay some extra money for that to avail that particular service. And this is a subject coverage. If you look at physical science, which is a part of your engineering science also, it is around 28% of content is coming from your engineering sciences. Of course, there may be multidisciplinary papers where engineering journals falls in health science also or a life science also, and sometimes rarely social sciences also. But the coverage, when you compare with the Web of Science, as far as engineering concerned, Scopus has got have more records. Okay, so that's why always you get more numbers in Scopus than the Web of Science. Okay, and also it gives you various other functionalities, like it will be a very through this platform you can get hold of articles published by a particular institutes by affiliation search. Okay, in one click I can get all SDAC publication, all NAL publications, and download it for my analysis part. And also it tracks citations for all these papers which it indexes, and it has got a very fantastic analyze module. Yeah. So, and also it gives you H index for both individual authors. We will understand what is H index in the later part of my presentation, and for institutions as well. And also they have a various other publication metrics has been calculated based on the data for Scopus, like the site score, SNIP, and the Cymograph journal ranking of a score for a journal. All those things will be done by the Scopus data. So there are some ambiguities exists. For example, the journals which have got a Q1, which has been like quartile is assigned by based on the Scopus data. At Scopus there may be a Q1 journal. When I say Q1, it's a high quality journal. Okay, that may not be present in Web of Science. So so here it's a very good journal, but it was not able to make into Web of Science. So how to trust this database? These kind of ambiguities may come for an end user. So there may be various reasons for that. Okay. See, for example, I had given a journal list here: advanced structure of chemical imaging and current protocols in biometrics. Okay, these are the Q1 journals in Scopus, but they are not indexed in Web of Science. Okay, so now if you look at the Q4 or no quartile, in the context of Scopus, if you have a Q4 and no quartile, those are all very low quality journal kind of a thing. As far as the metrics I'm concerned, I'm not debating on the content what it publishes. They are not there in the Scopus, but they are indexed in Web of Science. So these are the little ambiguities are there. I don't know, mainly it may depend on the parameters how they are judging. But as far as these agencies and ranking agencies and accreditation, they give equal importance to both the databases. If your article is indexed in any one of these database, consider that article is taken care of by these institutions, these agencies and accreditation bodies. Okay. So we have one more platform where we can get this citation or a publication metrics data. That is Google Scholar. Google Scholar is a free platform where you can create your profile and link all your publications, so that Google will keep track all whoever is referring your paper, and automatically it counts that citation. The only difference here, Google will not address the quality issue. For example, my journal paper is cited by somebody who for the preparation of a classroom presentation. Okay, that will count it as a one citation, whereas in Scopus and Web of Science, it will not count. They will count only citable documents, references from the citable documents. Whereas Google will count everything which is there on internet or a visible net. Okay, so that's the only difference. That is why there is, since the absence of quality parameter, many agencies will not consider citation data given by Google Scholar. Also, you can generate a citation profile. You will have a unique Google Scholar ID which you can use in various places, and it gives citations like H index, and I10 index is the index given by the Google. We will see what is I10 index in later part of my presentation. And also you can set an email alert. Whoever is, whenever you receive one citation, there will be automated email alert from Google that somebody has read your work. So those kind of functionalities it gives. Okay, this is how you can create a Google Scholar ID. For example, he is a scientist from NAL who has published more than 200-300 papers, got around 5,000 Google Scholar citations. When you look at Scopus, these citations will come down to 3,000 plus, because the other 2,000 may not be referred or referenced in a quality source. They would have used for some presentation, some report, or the journals which are not covered by Scopus or Web of Science. So these may be the citation. Always Google H index and I10 H index will be more than the Scopus or Web of Science data. Okay. So of course, again, as an author, I will not get any financial benefit from a publisher. Only thing I get is that these numbers. Okay, always these numbers, the higher numbers will be encouraging as far as I am an author is concerned, as far as the institution is concerned. It's nothing wrong in using these or projecting these numbers in your CV or a resume or so. Okay. So there are other new platforms which are entering in this citation database market. One is from Dimension. It's again a relatively a new database which they are trying to capture this citation data along with citation data. They're also focusing on capturing altmetric, article level metric data, and the social media metrics, where many users are sharing your research paper on social media platforms like Twitter, Facebook, blogs, etc. So Dimensions trying to capture those data also to give it for an end user or an end user institution. And also we have a CiteCRX, is again open source based citation index, and where the citation data is free. You can get your citation data free of cost. Of course, again, the quality is questionable here because they may not take only the citable documents from the peer-reviewed journal. They may take everything from reports and other kind of materials also. And there is one interesting platform called Cite.ai, artificial intelligence based platform. What they are doing, they are trying to extract citation. Along with the citation, they're trying to extract the portion of a text where this particular citation is being referred. They're trying to attach the context, in which context they have the particular citation or a particular reference has been referred. So that kind of data also Cite.ai is trying to give. Of course, I think it's launched 2-3 months before in India, I think. But it's a relatively new database. And of course, these databases needs time to mature and also needs time for agencies to consider them. Okay. They should establish its reliability and the quality parameters what they are considering. Okay, now I spoke about publication metric sources where these agencies look for various publication metrics. Those are the platforms from where you can get publication metrics. Now let us understand what are the different type of publication metrics are there and which are considered by various agencies or institutions or your own colleges. Okay. Remember, all publication metrics are based on or calculated based on the citation data, which I was referring in my all previous slides. Okay, what is citation analysis? Is a way of measuring the relative importance or an impact of an author or an article or a publication by counting the number of times that author or article or a publication has been cited by others. So others should use your work and refer in their references. Then it will be counted as a one citation for this work. Okay. Then the citation metrics we can divide into 4 categories. One is journal-based metrics for ranking the journal, for assessing the quality of the journal. The other thing is ranking an individual researcher or an individual institution. Okay, researcher, that is author-based metrics, the quality to assess an author or a researcher. Other one is the article level metrics. Now there may be a scenario where one article in a journal will get more citation, remaining articles may get 0 citation. Again, this one article citations will contribute to the journal metrics. Okay, if you want to know the article level metrics, the importance of an article, we go by alt metrics, that is article level metric. And we can also divide as a ranking in a university or a country based on the publication metrics. So these are the 4 parameters or the 4 different type of metrics can be understood in publication metrics. So what are the journal or article based metrics? So we have an impact factor, we have an immediacy index, we have a site score, we have a SNIP score, we have a SDR score for journal, and we have an alt metric. So you may ask why are so many metric systems or so many indexes are there. So each one has evolved over a period of time, and each one has got a limitations. To overcome those limitations, I think newer metrics has been invented or evolved. Okay, when it comes to author-based or research-based metrics, of course, the preliminary was a citation profiling, and next came the H index, then I index and G index, and there are several other indexes like M index, P index, and so on. So here I have covered only these four parameters for author or a research-based metrics. So we'll try to understand each one and how it is calculated, okay, and how it has been interpreted. So journal impact factor is one of the oldest metric system to assess journal. And it has been conceived by Eugene Garfield in 1972 to help libraries to build their journal collection. So libraries will subscribe a lot of journals and they add to their collection, but there should be a quality parameters to subscribe this journal, right? So as a librarian, he should give a quality content to its user. So for that purpose, they came out with the impact factor, assigning an impact factor for each journal, so that the high impact factor journal indicates the quality of the journal, which libraries can subscribe and give it to their users. So that was an idea. Okay, basically it is used to measure the quality of a journal or a serial publication. And this measurement is based on the average citation rate in a particular period of time. Okay, and it's a guide for researchers as an author to publish its work in a high quality journal. Based on the impact factor, I can select my journal to publish my work. Okay, and it is published annually by a Clarivex, and the impact factor of this journal is very dynamic. It varies from year to year based on the number of citations it gets. Okay, and unfortunately, till today, 80% of the decision makers go by impact factor. See, for example, if you want to assess a particular college, they will look at the articles published in high impact factor journal. If you take Nrf ranking itself, they have a special marks for top 2 journals. That is, those top 2 journals are the high impact factor journals. Okay, so 80% of decision makers go by this impact factor metric. So how it is calculated? It's a 3-window data. So the number of citations received for the previous 2 years papers. For example, a journal A has published 25 papers in the year 2013 and 20 papers in 2014. And to determine the impact factor of 2015, they consider total number of citations received for these 45 articles by the end of 2015 year. Okay, so in this case, 2015 they have published, 2013 they have published 25 articles, 2014 40 articles, totally 45 articles. For this 45 article, at the end of 2015, they have received 500 citations. So 500 divided by 45 will give the impact factor of that particular journal. Okay, so now what are the limitations of impact factor? So many people have misunderstood that impact factor for an individual researcher. No, it is for a journal. And many felt that 2 years span of citation analysis is a very short, very small as far as statistical point of view is concerned. And sometimes it feels as a subject bias. For example, if you look at impact factor score, all your life science and chemical science journals will have a more impact factor compared to the pure engineering subjects like aerospace. So we cannot compare the subjects based on the impact factor, right? Because the chemical sciences, life sciences, there are more number of researchers and a lot of research work will be going on. There is more citation potentiality for getting citation, whereas subjects like aerospace is a very narrow place, right? So that limitation it's not able to address. Only citable documents are considered in a journal. For example, if you take a journal, there are various article types. Original research article is there, short article is there, there is an editorial, there is a corrigenda, okay, there is a short communication. So impact factor considers only journal article, original research articles and the general research articles. Other type of documents are ignored. Okay, they also get citation, but those citations are ignored to calculate impact factor. And only few articles in journal get higher citation. For example, in a journal of applied surface science, there are 40 articles, and only one article will get around 500 citations. Remaining 49 or 39 article will get 0 citation. But again, the journal is judged as a very good journal because one article was able to get that number of citations. So there may be I cannot say it's a very good journal because all other 39 or 49 articles are very poor as far as citation is concerned, right? And largely cover only English language journal. There may be a very good journal, very good research articles, maybe non-English journals, which are again ignored here. So these are some of the limitations here. And what is immediacy index? So immediacy index is looked at to know the currency of the subject. For example, we got a COVID, right? Corona. So a lot of researchers jumped into that area, irrespective of subject areas, and they started doing research in this area. So this can be the currency or the urgency of a research area can be known by immediacy index. So how it is calculated? It is calculated number of articles published in the particular year and the number of citations received for that publications in that year itself. That will show the immediacy index or the currency of the subject. For example, number of articles published in 2018 and number of citations received for this article in 2018 itself. Maybe you publish an article in January, February, March, and you will start getting citations immediately because a lot of urgency is there in that area. So by the end of December, how many citations you have got in that journal for that area? So it will give you the immediacy index. Because the same subject, journals are basically subject oriented, right? The scope of the journal will define, I will publish articles which falls into so and so. For example, a journal related to hydrogen cell. Okay, so it will accommodate only articles related to hydrogen cell. If you analyze immediacy index for that journal, it will show the urgency or the currency of the subject. For example, immediacy index of AIA journal. So it has published 80 articles in 2018. And these 80 articles have got 20 citations. So immediacy index of this journal is 0.25. The objective for immediacy index is to know the currency or urgency in the area of research. Okay, next. Again, this is an SNIP, I think. Okay, site score. So immediacy, it's a similarly, as I told you in my earlier slide, impact factor is based on the Web of Science data, and it has got a 2-year window of citation analysis, which many statisticians express their concern that 2-year window may not give you a clear picture for a journal. So what Scopus did, Scopus came out with a site score. It is equivalent to Web of Science impact factor. The site score, they started somewhere in 2016. To measure the journal, quality of journal, and the site score is purely based on the Scopus data, and Scopus database allows you to browse free of cost, no need to pay for it. Okay, and instead of 2-year citation window, they take a 3-year citation window, so that they will get more data to calculate the site score. And also the citable document category has been expanded. So in the case of impact factor, they consider only original research article and a research article. Whereas in site score, they have extended to letters, notes, editorial, conference papers, which are indexed, okay, to come out with the site score. And the site score is again calculated once in a year, and the site score is also dynamic. It varies for a journal year to year. Okay. So how site score is considered? It is same as your impact factor. Instead of 13-14, they also go back to 2012. When articles becomes old, the chances of setting citations are more if it is a quality work, right? Because many people will refer previous year work, previous literature published in their domain. So whenever the articles becomes older and older, chances of getting citation, more citation if a quality is good. So in that way, for this case, they have taken articles published in these 3 years, and the number of citations these 3 years articles have got will be based on that site score is calculated. So imagine there are around 60 articles have been published in these 3 years, and these 60 articles have got 600 citations. So then the site score of that is 600 divided by 60. Okay, that will site score will be a 10. That's how site score is calculated. And site score also gives, based on the site score, they also give various other ranks or other grading. For example, site score percentile indicates a relative standing of a journal in the subject field. Each subject file they will assign a site score. Okay, and the top 2% is considered as a highly high quality journal. And site score also, based on the site score, this quartile system is made. For example, quartile 1 journal, which are considered to be a high quality journal, which will fall between 99 to 75th percentile. Okay, and quartile 2 74 to 50th to 74th percentile. Okay, quartile 3 25th to 49th percentile, and 0 to 24th is a Q4. Now, many colleges or many institutions, what I have heard is that they are insisting on this quartile based journal, because if you say SCI index journal, some journals may not have quartile also, some may not have impact factor, some may not have site score, though they have indexed in SCI databases. Based on the site score, again, is one more quality parameter on top of SCI parameter. So they are assigning this quartile. So many institutions are awarding incentive schemes. Like if you come out with a quartile 1 paper, you will be given 20,000 or 25,000 as a reward. Okay, if you come out with a quartile 2, again, there will be some reward. So those kind of initiatives are taking place based on this quartile ranking or quartile information parameter. And also they have a site score rank which indicates the absolute standing of a serial in its field. Okay, for example, 14th out of 65 journal, which is a category in aerospace. So it gives you the relative position in that rank. If you rank a list of journals in a particular subject area, based on this site score, they will define the position of that journal. Okay, now there is a scenario in almost all institutions, especially in academic institution, where you offer a courses on multidisciplinary subjects. You have a engineering, you have a basic science department, you have engineering departments, you may have a MBA department. Okay, now if you look at citation behavior of a chemical or a material science division, or a biological science, or a life science, so their citation potentiality is more, because their citation potentiality is more, getting a higher impact factor, higher site score, chances are more, right, compared to the narrow subject areas like your mechanical engineering or aerospace engineering, something like that. Now, organization will make a policy. Those professors who have published papers, those faculty who have published papers which has got impact factor of 5 and above will be automatically promoted. Definitely all material science, chemical science, life science faculty will get promotion without any problem, because all journals will have a high impact factor journal. Unfortunately, the engineering subjects where very few people are working, and the impact factor of these journals are very low, and they fails to pass that criteria. And it's very unfair to compare the faculty of engineering sciences with the faculty of chemical sciences or life sciences, right? You can compare apple with apple. You cannot compare apple with orange, right? So how this this particular limitation is addressed? So this particular bias or what you call a discrimination can be addressed to SNIP score. Okay, here it normalizes the impact per paper. Okay, source normalized impact per paper, which is again this subject bias, the domain bias is addressed to this score. We will look at what is this score and how it is calculated, how it is helpful for us to compare with other departments. Okay, so SNIP was again conceived or created by a Professor Henkun from Leiden University, and it takes a 3-year window of citation matrix. Okay, and it has got a 2-step of calculation. First it calculates raw impact factor of a journal, and also it calculates the citation potential of that journal. Okay, and it divides raw impact factor by citation potential which gives a SNIP score, okay, which is normalized citation behavior between subjects. Okay, I have an example. I think you will understand that in a more better way. And all these calculations are done based on the Scopus data. Okay, so now SNIP, how SNIP is concerned. One, as I told you, one raw journal impact will be calculated first. This is as same as cite score. They take 3-year window of citable documents and divide the number of citations received. It will give you the raw impact of the journal. Okay, then citation potentiality, how it is calculated. Again, they will take a 3-year window and they count all number of articles published in that journal for this 3 year, and they take out that articles and they count the number of references. They separate the number of references used to publish this article. Okay, and they count that and they arrive at the citation potential by dividing number of references divided by number of papers. Okay, I have an example here. For example, Journal of Cancer Research, which is a life science. If you go by impact factor or a cite score, it has got a high impact factor, high journal impact, high cite score, 23.5. Okay, and for AIA journal, which is a very narrow subject. Okay, and again cite journal raw impact is calculated, that is basically cite score, and it is 1.2. Now if your organization compares 1.1, 1.2 to 23.5, it's a really unfair comparison, right? So here, because of the journal category or subject type and the kind of research going on, their scores always it will be high, and here their scores always it will be low. What it means, this journal in 2015 they have 22 articles, in 2016 24 articles, in 27 23, total 69. These 69 articles have got 1625 citations. So 1625 divided by 69 is given a journal raw impact, that is cite score. Here also same. Now how to calculate citation potentiality? So citation potentiality, again the same number of articles. To write this 69 article, these authors have used these many references. That means this journal has given this many citations to other. That is the citation potentiality of this journal. This journal has given these many citations to other authors. Okay, so how it is calculated? The number of references used to write these many articles, okay, is divided. So citation potentiality of this journal is 16, whereas citation potentiality of AIA journal is 9. So now how to calculate SNIP score? Now the raw impact factor divided by citation potentiality gives you SNIP score of 0.5. For AIA, it is 1.21 divided by 9. It is 0.14. These things we can compare. We can have a fairly good comparison, right? Comparing 1 to 23, comparing 0.1 to 0.5. This is how it normalizes the subject things, subject metrics. So we have one more metrics for judging a journal, the quality of journal. It's called a Cymograph journal ranking. Again, this Cymograph SJR score is calculated by Scopus data, and it was designed by University of Granada, Spain, and it draws citation data from so many sources which are indexed in Scopus. Again, it considers 3-year window of citation. What it does is it attaches a prestige to the score to each journal, prestige score to each journal. Okay, and each citation from a journal is weighted depending on the source they come from. For example, there is a journal in life science which gives you a lot of citation. Okay, but the value is added to that citation. If the journal gives more value, more number of citations, the value of the citation will be very low. In case of humanities, if you take, the chances of getting citations is very less, but the value of the citation is more. So based on some statistical formula, they take this factor into consideration and they assign a SJR score. If you go to their SJR ranking site, so you find various scores here. So total number of SJR score and the quartile which belongs to, Okay, and what is the H index of the journal, and total number of documents published in that particular year, number of total documents in 3 year span, and number of citations received, and so on. So various metrics you can find, and it is free to use platform to know the journal. And many institutions are also going by this quartile to assess their faculty, the articles in which their faculty has published their articles, and so on. Okay, next, those are all the journal level metrics. Now we will come to article level metrics. For example, I quoted one example that in a particular journal, one article may get lot of citations. The remaining article may get 0 citations, but it will contribute to the metrics of the journal, and it will boost site score or impact factor, and so on. So now, how to know your article level metrics or article level parameter or a strength of your article? So for that, because of the advent of these digital platforms and digital technologies and social media, so there are new way of calculating metrics has been come out. So basically, so altmetric has come out. Basically, they track number of downloads of a particular article and number of time spent by users on your article. Okay, and number of shares on various social media platforms like Twitter, blog, all those things are captured, and they assign a metrics for that. Okay. So these are the various agencies they are trying to capture your metrics. Like we have an altmetric platform. They capture all the social media based metrics, downloads, etc., etc. We have Impact Story, Plumax, Plus, and Mendeley, which is again a reference management platform. They're also coming out very fantastic discovery platform along with capturing altmetrics. Okay, and these are the various sources where altmetrics data has been captured by those platforms. Okay, basically various publisher platforms they get access. For example, F1000 Research is a platform from Taylor and Francis. PubMed is again another abstracting database. So not necessarily these many, they capture data from various sources. I have listed very few here. So this is how this altmetric badge they will allocate. For example, this article altmetric is 37. Out of this 37, this particular article is tweeted by 28. The title is appeared on Twitter 28 times. It has been appeared, and somebody has blogged, used this title in their blog. Someone has shared in the Facebook pages. So all these metrics will be encouraging for an author. Okay, it indicates the quality of an article, which has been widely used. Okay, and you should be very careful about various fake metrics. Okay, if you look at especially this predatory journal, they display various kinds of metrics, and their metrics is like it go beyond 100 or 50, which is highly impossible to get. Okay, so whenever you are selecting a journal and considering a metrics, you should be very careful. You should understand what is the source to calculate that metric, and what is the methodology they have adapted to come out the metrics, and who is considering that metric. Sir, I'm in lecture. Hello, sir, I'm in lecture. Can I call you? Okay. Yes. Sorry. So you should be very careful. So there are more than 50 fake metric journal metrics are available. So you should be very careful when you are referring these metrics. And their names also will be like impact factor, global impact factor. So it will imitate the original metric system which has been established by Scopus and Web of Science. Now we come to a researcher based or article or a author based metrics. The researcher level metrics are basically citation metrics that measure the publication impact of an individual researcher. And there are various criteria or various methods we can judge the impact of a researcher. One basic is a citation profiling of a researcher. Next comes a H index. then G index, I10 index, and altimetrics can be also assessed by individual researcher level also. So what is citation profile? It's a very basic method of assessing a individual contributor. Mainly it considers number of papers published by an individual author and the number of citations received for those papers. Okay. And also we can come out with the collaborations, what kind of collaboration that particular author has got, whether he has a national level collaboration or international collaboration, all those things can be determined. And the subject domain contribution, there may be a multidisciplinary research. He would have engaged in a multidisciplinary research, that also can be brought out. And he would have published in a various publication formats like journal paper, conference paper, book titles, so on. And also based on the funding sponsors can be also assessed. This is the publication profiling of a particular author or a researcher, where he has published more than 200 papers, and the growth of his publication, he started publishing from 1995, and presently this is the growth. And in 2027 is a highly productive year, where he has published more than 20 papers, maybe along with his PhD students or so. And you can have a collaborative authors, you can have a collaboration with different institutions, you can have a collaboration inside country or outside country, okay, various document types and so on. So these can be generated automatically by these citation platforms like Scopus or WebAssembly. This I have generated using Scopus. So you can put it in your resume or your author homepage. This is your publication metric profile. Okay. And also this is the citation growth of an individual author. Okay. So now there will be a scenario. For example, at the beginning of your career, you publish an article. Okay. Here author has published 200 articles and he has got somewhere around 4,000 citations. Now imagine there is a scenario where the first article has got 4,000 citations. The remaining 201 articles have got 0 citation in the span of 20 years career. Can I say this author, this researcher is an excellent researcher throughout 20 years? Because citations are 4,000 and he has published 200 articles. Okay, but one article has got 4,000 citation, remaining 201 articles, 0 citation. Can we say that? No, right? He may be very good in the initial stage, but throughout the career, he may not be a good scientist. So unfortunately, it cannot be assessed through citation profiling. To address this issue, the new indexing came called as H index, which is again introduced by Professor George Hirsch. So they have named by his name as an H index or a Hirsch index. As seen as a fair alternative than simply counting total number of papers or total number of citations. What it does is disproportionate the weight of cited papers. For example, one paper has got 4,000 citations, so H index will negate that. Okay, H index will be very less, though if you have a more than 4,000 citations, and it's very easy to compute. I will show how it is calculated. And it reflects both the number of publication and the number of citations per publication. That is the limitation addressed by H index. And this index works properly to compare the scientists in the same field. Again, if you compare H index of engineering to H index of life science, there will be a huge difference. So you should compare H index of engineering to H index of engineering only. So how H index is calculated? Imagine H index of a researcher is a 38. Okay, that means out of 202 papers, so that means the 38th paper should have a 38 citations, and definitely remaining 37, the previous 37 papers will have more than 38 citations. So if you draw number of papers on x-axis and number of citations on y-axis, where these two intersect, so that will be the H index. For example, the case I gave, the first paper has got 4,000 citations. The remaining 200 papers have got 0 citation. Then H index of that case will be only 1. Okay, in this case, his H index is 38. That means this 38 papers he has produced over a period of 20 years. This 38th paper has got 38 citation. Remaining 37, first one may be 2,000, second one may be 1,500, third one may be 800. definitely the 37 papers will have more than 38 citations. If the citation has to be increased by 39, that means 39th paper should get 39 citation. All remaining 38 should be more than 39. Okay, this is how H-index address the limitation of the citation profiling. Okay, now again H-index have some limitation. It gives more weightage to the high cited papers. Again, it's a limitation. So which has been again addressed by a G-index. So what G-index does, if author is having a G-index of 20, means that author has published at least 20 articles and combined 20 article citations should be 400. For example, in this case, author started publishing SCI papers in the year 28, where for first paper he got a 70 and total added citation is 70. So the square of that is 1 into 1 is 1. Definitely G index at the year 2008 is 1. Again in 2009 he published second paper which has got 12 citations. So 70 plus 12 is 82 and 2 square is 4. Definitely 82 is more than 4. So G index is 2. Similarly, in the year 2014, he has published a 10th paper and these are the citations all 10 papers have received. Okay, the combined citation is 114 and 10 square is 100. Definitely the 100 is 114, 100 is lesser than 114, right? So his G index is 10. So to get a G index of 11, total combined citation he should have a 121. But unfortunately he has got 116. So his G index is 10. If you go by H index, the fifth paper has got 5 citation and remaining others have 5 or more than 5. So his H index stands at 5, whereas G index stands at 6. So here highly cited papers things are negated. Okay, this is again one more parameter to judge an author. But most decision makers are most widely accepted index is your H index. Okay. So again, one more index you come up with I-10 index by Google Scholar. It is again generated or introduced by Google Scholar. So I-10 index is the number of publication with at least 10 citations. For example, you have 6 citations here, 6 or you have 8 papers here. Your 6th paper has got 10. Okay, then your I index is 10. If your I index is 7, that means the 7th paper also should have a 10 citation. Then it becomes I-10. It's a very simple calculation by Google. Okay, so these are the various citation metrics or publication metrics which are used to measure journal, article, and author and institution. Okay, that is why many institutions are giving more and more importance to these publication metrics. Again, institution can brand their name, can showcase their quality of through various ranks or accreditations. I understand many institutions, including SJSC, may be insisting to publish papers along with your regular academic activities. Of course, it's required now. There is no alternative for that. You have to handle both. You have to balance both, and you have to contribute both in your academic activities and your research process, research activities, which will fetch you the publication metric. This is the part 1 where I try to focus. I try to cover on publication metrics. Now I will quickly address ethics part. How this pressure is making our academic staff or our research staff to knowingly or unknowingly get trapped into unethical practices, and how to overcome, and what are those, we'll try to understand quickly. Pardon me, I'm exceeding my time limit, so I may take another 10 to 20 to 25 minutes to give a broader overview of this publication ethics.
Yes, sir. Please, sir.
So if you look at academic researchers' life, definitely your managements will push you to handle academic classes where you have to handle classes, examinations, seminar, conferences, committees, meetings, so on. And management also is in pressure they need to have a better branding, better ranking, accreditation, so that they get a better admissions, and also they have to serve a societal role. So everybody has to join hands to achieve this. So there is no other go. If you look at the time of a researcher, academic researcher, especially, you have a 24 hours. Unfortunately, you cannot extend to 30 or 36 based on your requirement. So you have to manage this 24 hours more efficiently. So in that 24, of course, 14 to 16 hours may go for your personal life, and you have a quality 8 to 10 hours in your office, where again you have to engage in your academic activities, and you have left with very few times that very less time for your research activities, which you need to manage. In research also, there are various other jobs. So there are various research tools which you can make use, various research assisting or publication assisting tools which you can adopt and to manage your time. So now you are in this position, like your institutes wants you to publish in a Q1, Q2, Q3, or you may be pursuing your PhD. For that, you need to publish a 2 SCI publication, otherwise your degree is not awarded. And it has to have a good impact factor journal, citations, STR score, H index. So these are the various things which are there on your head. So normally it's a human behavior. We undergo stress if we have an external force acting on us. Unfortunately, sometimes it leads to distress. Okay, stress is okay in life, so we should not enter into a distress. Again, this distress will lead to compromising things, compromise ethics, what we are doing, because we are in some tremendous pressure, right? So this leads to unethical practices in scholarly publication. As far as scholarly publication is concerned, who defines ethics in scholarly publications? There are various international agencies, national agencies like our UGC, various associations like WEN, COPE. Okay, these people have defined certain rules, set of rules which are expected by the society or by a system, which are called ethics. Okay, as a researcher, as a author you want to publish a research findings in scholarly publications, you are expected to follow certain ethics. So unfortunately, due to distress or pressure, many authors are adopting unethical practices. So which is quite unfortunate, and the incidences are increasing day by day. So if you look at this article retraction due to unethical publication practices is growing by day, year by year. Okay, if you look at the Indian article retraction, these are the articles published in a reputed journal due to some unethical practice which has been retracted later by conducting an inquiry, which is a great insult for a researcher or an author. Okay, if you do it knowingly or unknowingly, your article will be retracted if it is proved it's a publication misconduct. Okay, there are 104 categories has been identified for article retraction. So all these 104 are considered as a unethical practices. We'll try to understand what are these unethical practices which many authors are knowingly or unknowingly engaged. One is authorship, other one is breach of copyright, which are majorly reported, citation manipulation or stacking, data or image fabrication or falsification, plagiarism is again a major concern, duplicate submission, okay, inappropriate referencing or poor attribution, text recycling, redundant publication, salami slicing. Quickly, we will try to understand each one, what it is. When it comes to authorship, authorship ensures the appropriate credit to individuals, okay, and they're also accountable. For example, there are 4 authors in an article, all 4 are accountable. It's not that first author is more accountable, last author is less accountable. All are equally accountable and all will get equal credit. Okay, author is generally considered to be an individual who has made a significant intellectual contribution. Then only you can give authorship to him. So criteria due to credit author, there should be a substantial contribution, or you should have helped in revising or drafting the intellectual content, not the formatting, changing font or paragraph or line space. No, there should be a intellectual revision. Okay, finally, there may be a guide or a supervisor who has gone through, who has revised, reviewed, and he has approved. Then only you can give a authorship to your guide. Okay, so and all are equally accountable. Okay, and the order of author should be a joint decision. First author, who should be the first author, whose significant contribution is more, he should be the first author. For example, in PhD student should be the first author, not the guide, because the major contribution would have come from the student. Unfortunately, we have seen so many cases, guides will put as a first name for unforeseen reasons, and the student will be pushed to the last. So that should not happen. That is an unethical practice. Okay. And there may be a certain instances where one or two suggestions would have come from your friends or your peers. You can put them in a contributors list, not like author list. Okay. So what are the unethical practices? One is ghost author. There are various instances where many people will pay somebody and they will write article on their behalf. They are the commercial sponsors. They are called as a ghost authorship, which is not acceptable. Okay, guest author. Author who make no discernible contribution. Only suggestions they would have given. To impress them, they will give guest author. Okay, there may be a principal in the college. Author wants to impress a principal for a personal benefits. Simply there is no contribution from principal, they will give authorship to him. So that should not happen. That's an unethical practice. And you will gift an author, authorship. For example, somebody from your friend circle or somebody from your faculty, your division, department, who may be lacking in a publication count, you will just gift authorship to them. So unless until if there is no contribution from them, significant intellectual contribution from them, authorship should not be given. And some scenarios, there will be a large list of authors, so who are not contributed. So that should not happen. And some cases, because of this mandatory for increments or promotions or ranking, so many things, mutual understanding. You put my name, I will put your name. So these are the incidences are occurring. So as a true researcher who follows a publication ethics, you should not engage in that. And some coercion authorship, bullying, blackmailing, you put my author. Like it is reported in so many places. You are using a force to put your your name as an author. So that should not happen. So these are the various authorship issues which are reported. Citation manipulation. Again, if you look at the various parameters, the more importance is given to the citations, right? So now what is the understanding? You cite my paper, I cite your paper, though it is not relevant. There are instances where an aerospace paper has been cited in a social science. Of course, there may be a chance of multidisciplinary research, but it cannot be a continuous. So there are various instances where citation manipulation has been reported. One is self-citation. Unnecessarily, though my papers are not relevant to the current research, then also I will cite, or I will cite my guide papers, though they are not related. Okay, they are the self-citation, boosting their citation. And coercive citation, asking others by force to cite their papers. Maybe guide will tell, though it is not relevant, he would have guided to some other student, he will ask him to cite that paper, though it is not relevant, to boost his citations. So these are the incidences has been reported. So that should not happen. You should cite, you should refer only if it is relevant, only if you have used in your work. Okay. So improper referencing, though you have used somebody's work, but you have not referred them properly. So eventually it results into the a lack of getting citations to the original author, though his work has been used. And sometimes you will give false references, irrelevant references. So these are various things has been reported. So what are the tips for this? Include only relevant citation. Read the publication and cite that. Don't simply cite. Just because your keywords matches, you need to have some 30-40 references, you include those references. You should not do that. And you should cite accordance. Certain formats will be there, APA style, AMA style. You have to follow that. Okay, and cite transparency. Be honest to yourself. Okay, these are the various things you should consider while giving references. When you give a reference, somebody else will getting a citation. It will increase their credibility. Simultaneous submission. Now you are the end of your PhD submission, but university insists you to do 2 publications, because publication process takes somewhere 4 months to 1 year or 1.5 years. You are not sure journal A will accept that, it may reject. So what you will do, same publication you will submit in 4 or 5 journals. Imagine if 2-3 will accept and publish, what will happen, right? It's again an unethical practice. You should submit 1 article once to a journal. If it rejects, you can select a other journal. So you should avoid this multiple or duplicate submissions. Salami slicing. For example, you have a data, that data can be published as a one single paper, but just to increase your publication count, you will cut into pieces. That is salami slicing. And the same research work which you can publish as a one paper, you will make 5 papers. Okay, each objective one paper. So that has been reported. That is not acceptable, right? So it's called as a salami slicing. So data fabrication is one of the major issue now. Many people are accepting. Experiencing. Many publishers are experiencing. Fabrication is an invention of data. For example, you are supposed to conduct an experiment and get a data, and you have to supposed to conduct these iterations 50 times or 100 times. Okay, what you do? You do 1 or 2 times. Remaining you fabricate. Remaining 90 experiments you fabricate. You do only 10 experiments. Based on the 10 experiment data, you fabricate that result. Okay, that is happening. And the articles retracted from various retraction database, this fabrication accounts for 22%. Okay, later stage, when it is subjected for inquiry, then they fails to explain the data what they have cooked up. Okay, this is the major issue now. Other one is falsification. You conduct all 100 experiments, but the results what you have got is not matching to your hypothesis or your objective, whatever it is. You conveniently manipulate that. Okay, you manipulate and publish. That is data falsification. So that also a major issue now. Okay. Then the image manipulation. Same image will be used in several articles and interpretation will be different, data will be different, results will be different. So there are a lot of incidents are reported on image manipulation. Okay. Remember, now you are in a digital world, now you are in an online environment. Once you publish, it is visible to everybody who has got subscription, especially if it is an open access domain, anybody can see your research work. So while using all these things, you should be very careful. Okay, image manipulation is also one more thing. So is there any punishment classes for this? There are several cases. Many people have been imprisoned for data fabrication, falsification, image manipulation, and so on. For example, he is a very good researcher from South Korea. What he has done, 2 landmark papers published in a Science, which is a high impact factor journal based on human embryonic stem cells. Okay, what he has done, he didn't do all experiments. He fabricated and falsified data. Later, it has been seen and it has been retracted. And he collaborated with one of the American famous researcher or professor, and he also has been punished. Okay, he has been suspended from his professor post, and I think he has been imprisoned also. Okay, and one more classic example for data fabrication, John Hendrik Schön. He was a great scientist in Bell Labs, one of the reputed, and he used to publish 2 articles or 1 research article in 8 days. Whether it is possible for any researcher to publish an article, 1 article in 8 days, what he has done, he simply fabricated the data. And later people got suspicious that how a scientist or an individual can publish 1 article in 8 days, that in the journals like high impact factor data. Then people started inquiring his papers. So later it has been found that all his papers were fabricated. So all his papers were retracted. He has been removed from his job from Bell Labs. Okay, and he has been barred from publishing in those journals. So these are the penalty classes there for your fabrication and falsification of data. This is a classic case of image manipulation by one of our lab. Unfortunately, this has been reported in national media, and there was an inquiry commission set up, and it has been inquiries going on. So you should be very careful. The same image they have used in different articles and arrived at different results and interpretations. So which may not be possible, right? So other one is a copyright infringement. So what you do, whatever images or a text you want to use from some other paper which is copyrighted, knowingly or unknowingly, you will take that as it is and put it in your paper. So there are copyright laws which has been protected all this publisher content. If you want to use somebody's paper, page, or image, or a figure, or a table, you have to obtain a written copyright from the publisher. Okay. So of course there are a fair use clause to certain extent you can use it for your educational research purpose, but if you want to reproduce it, you have to take a written permission from publisher. Of course there are various mechanisms on their publisher platforms where you can approach and we can get a free of cost. I think up to 3 images you can borrow from a journal in a year free of cost, and if you want to borrow more than that you have to pay and get copyright clearance. So many people are engaged in copyright infringement. This has to be avoided. Okay, and the plagiarism, of course, is a major issue. And I understand there was a session on plagiarism by Akshay Prasanna from Turnitin. I think you would have addressed plagiarism issue in detail. I will quickly run through this plagiarism issue. What are the acts considered as a plagiarism? Turning someone else's work as your own, copying words or without giving a credit or without giving a references, failing to put quotation marks for quote. So all these are considered as a plagiarism issue, acts. And the types of plagiarism, they will clone it, control C, control V. For control C, there was a classic example from one of the university. What they have done a sociology study of a Kolar district. A guide has done a sociology study of a Kolar district. For his student, what he has done, he find Kolar and replaced with Chikaballapur. Rest entire thesis is same. So it became the study, a sociological study of a Chikaballapur, and he has been awarded a degree. Later, somebody pointed out it went to High Court, Supreme Court, and the degrees were retracted, and the position they were removed from their position. That is the classic case of find and replace. Find Kolar, replace with Chikaballapur. And there are remix, recycle. These are the various type of plagiarism where people are engaged. And common excuses they give once they are caught: by misunderstanding I have done, by lapse of judgment. Some people will think nobody will notice, I will escape. Okay. By honest mistake, they will accept. Whatever it is, it's a punishable crime. So, okay, you will have a consequences. You should be very careful. The common questions regarding plagiarism. Plagiarism is really a crime? Yes, it is really a plagiarism. Am I plagiarizing if I cite a plagiarized source? For this, there is a suggestion called you have to adopt a CRAP model. Okay, what is CRAP? Currency, relevancy, authority, accuracy, and purpose. So always it is suggestible to cite a authoritative sources like journals published by STM publishers or reputed publishers, because they would have already taken care of this plagiarism issue. If you cite a plagiarized content, yes, definitely it will be a plagiarism. Okay, is it really plagiarism if I don't cite correctly? Yes, whatever material you use, to some extent you have to give a credit to the original author. Plagiarism impact on my career? Definitely yes. If you are caught, you will have a tough time. Can others see my work if I upload to similarity detecting software? Because all these softwares are cloud-based software where you need to upload your paper or a thesis to these databases. The common question is, can any other see? Yes, of course, there is a provision on each and every repositories, whether you can add to their repository. If you click add, of course, definitely that will be added to the repository. Most probably many institutions will sign NDA with these platforms where nobody can see your content. It will be restricted to only you. Okay, so that kind of agreements are there. Your institution should do that. Are free plagiarism tool or reports are complete? No, because they cannot index the subscribed content. Whatever they can give similarity is from only free sources. That's why it's always recommended to have a commercial tool platforms like Turnitin, iAuthenticate, or Urkun, or Drillbit, something like that. So they have a complete content in their database, because when you want to match A with B, A should be complete, right? So then only it can give you the complete report. So these are the global plagiarism map. Of course, India also have got a lot of plagiarism issues which has to be addressed. Okay, plagiarism is a major issue in India. So some of the cases reported as far as plagiarism is concerned, professor caught plagiarism and Delhi University Vice Chancellor has been imprisoned for the case. And see, ex-Delhi University Vice Chancellor Deepak Pindal was sent to jail, Tihar jail, for the act of plagiarism. Later, he has been released. So what I mean to say is plagiarism is a serious issue. You should be very careful. Okay, these are the various tools available for you. Since you are SJEC, you have access to Turnitin. I suggest you make best use of this resource. You can approach your librarian or library. They will help you to use these things. Okay, this is how you get a similarity report, similarity index. It refers, this color code refers to the content where you have borrowed. See to that it is minimized and you properly cite them. And these are the various publisher policies. Each journal, each publisher will have their own plagiarism policy. Before publishing with them, you go and read that. It will be in author page, author guidelines, author instructions page, cite them and try to match your manuscript according to that. And this is from Elsevier guideline. And this is from Springer. What I will do, I will share this PPT with the organizers. Maybe you can refer for future. Due to the lack of time, I'm just running through. This is the UGC guideline. What it says, with a 14-word limit, allowed plagiarism similarity index is 10%. If you are a repeated offender of plagiarism, there are various punishment classes for both student and guide. Okay, this is a CSIR. Since a lot of misconduct has been reported in national dailies, CSIR strictly came out with the policy guidelines as far as ethics in research is concerned, and all scientists, all researchers, technologists who are working in CSIR has to follow this. And we have a monitoring system for this. At NAL, we have come out with a internal publication monitoring module where each and every paper our scientist has to upload. We check for plagiarism or image manipulation, that kind of practices. Once it is cleared from this system, it goes to appropriate approving authority. They approve, then they will send it to a journal. Okay, this is how instructions has been made. So what I mean to say is publication ethics is very important, because it not only involves your own individual branding, it also involves your organization branding. So once you caught, it's not only your insult, it will be an insult for your organization also. It may dent their reputation or a brand what they have built over the period of years. So please be careful about these ethics and adopt in your day-to-day research. I think that's all from my side. Thank you very much for your patience hearing, and hope I have made a justice to the opportunity given to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for the wonderful session. I think
if you have any queries, I will be happy.
One question from Madam Neetu Saini, I think. How to use the Mendeley software?
So Mendeley is a reference management tool. Basically, desktop version is a free version, and you can install it on your system. And they have also have a web version where you can integrate. Of course, on web version up to 2 GB it is free, and you can collect your research literature, and you can build your personal library. I think in SEG St. Joseph College we had a one-day workshop on that, and you have a lot of materials available on net also. How to use, in the sense, of course you have to install it on your device, and what I suggest you undergo some training programs which Elsevier also offer, or some colleges may conduct workshops. It's better to attend that so that you get a holistic idea about Mendeley or any other reference management for that matter, and you can adapt. So that Mendeley gives you two advantages. One, you can have your personal library, and also the second one is inserting references in a certain styles like APA, AMA. You can automatically insert. It saves a lot of time. Okay, maybe you can explore, madam. It's a free tool which you can explore. Hope I answered your query.
Thank you, sir. One more question. So plagiarism can be checked using online software?
Yes, sir. Plagiarism is checked using online software. As I told you, there are various free software. In my terms, they are meaningless. Because, why? Because when you check your manuscript with some database, the completeness, the content of the database is important. Okay. So there is another threat. If you use a free tool, they may misuse your manuscript. So what I suggest is you need to go for a established commercial tools like Turnitin or Authenticate or Urkun or a Drillbait, where your article security is taken care, and also they pay these commercial publishers and get their content indexed in this. So when you compare your paper with these commercial tools, that online service tools, your similarity report will be more trustworthy than compared to the free tools. Definitely, yes, all are online tools, and it's better to use the commercial tools with a NDA, non-disclosure agreement signed with it.
Okay, some of other questions like how to check whether a journal is Web of Science or Scopus Index, what is H
Yes,
index?
so when you go to scopus.com, you can go to a source link. There is it's a free to, you can search it freely. Okay, if you go to source tab in the top of your Scopus database, and if I can share my screen and show, I think it will be if I have time, I will just show that.
Yes, sir, please.
Yeah, share screen. So if you, this is a Scopus interface. If you go to a source and you select a title here, for example, you want to check, you want looking for AIAA journal. Okay. So this journal is indexed in Scopus. If I click AIA journal, okay, so it shows all percentile, site score is 5, number of citations received, number of articles. So all those metrics you can see freely. Okay, so when you find your journal, looking whatever journal you are looking for here, so these are the various metrics: SNIP score, which quartile it is there. Okay, SNIP score is this, SJR score is this, site score is this. So if you are able to find your journal, what you are looking at Scopus, it is Scopus index journal. Unfortunately, I don't know whether Web of Science will give you free access or what. If you have a paid access, you can always get to know whether this paper is indexed in Scopus. As far as Scopus is concerned, if you go to Cymograph, there also you would be able to find out what is the SJR score, SNIP score, all those things. Am I answered your question?
Yes, sir. Lot of appreciation to your presentation, sir.
It's my privilege.
One of the best presentation, very informative session participants are telling.
Okay.
Before proposing the vote of thanks for the benefit of participants, I will summarize, sir, your presentation. Sir started with firstly the importance of publication metrics, where criteria and the weightages he has discussed, considering the Nrf ranking, Times Higher Education World ranking, then QS ranking, etc. Then sir also mentioned about the accreditation, importance given by the accreditation and also the funding agencies for this publication metrics. And secondly, sir mentioned about the data points, that is publication productivity, considering the Nrf data and also the data from other databases like Scopus and the Web of Science. The 3 years window was considered. Sir has given the idea of how in our institution we can see the publication productivity, considering the example of St. Joseph Engineering College, Mangaluru. Similarly, other institution academicians, research scholars, they can find the output of their institution. Thirdly, sir discussed about the publication metrics sources, like Web of Science, Scopus, Google Scholar, functionalities, what are all the ambiguity, and new platforms like Dimensions, SiteScoreX, Site.ai, etc. As a fourth agenda, sir discussed about understanding the publication metrics through citation analysis, journal and article metrics, like journal, impact factor, site score, SNIP, SJR, then alt metrics for article identification, or to know the popularity of a particular article. Then author and researcher metrics like H index, G index, I10. All these indices are as explained in detail with the examples, which is great enlightenment for all of us. Then in the ethics part, sir mentioned about the time management, responsibility of the academic researchers, help tools available, then gave information about the article retractions where India stands first and we all research scholars hold the responsibility of bringing the name to the country by bringing this number to very less by making quality contributions in the field of research. Sir also mentioned about the number of unethical practices which are reported under the consequences, some cases where people were penalized for unethical practices. Finally, sir spoke about plagiarism, common questions with answers, few cases, then plagiarism tools and the guidelines by CSIR and UGC. Sir, thank you very much for the wonderful session. Very, very informative. And on behalf of the St. Joseph Engineering College, Mangaluru, Karnataka, and organizing committee, and all the participants who are here, a wholehearted thanks to you. The chat box is flooded with the appreciations. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the patient hearing and the privilege to share my knowledge, little knowledge with you all. Thank you all.
Yes. Yes, thank you, sir. Wish you the same. We shall meet in the afternoon, 2:30, to hear about framing a research problem by Dr. Anil Kumar Agarwal from IIT BHU. Thank you, participants. We shall part now. We shall meet.